6 to 8 minutes. The speech title is Say What? So please welcome Debora Dunster. Say what? Say what? Debora Dunster.
Good evening, Toastmasters. It's a well-worn joke. 3 little old ladies are sitting at a park bench. The first one says, "Ooh, windy, isn't it?" "No, it's Thursday," says the second. "Oh, I am too. Let's go get a cup of tea," says the third. Apart from ribbing the aging process, this joke relies on the fact that mishearing similar sounds can have comical results. Auditory misunderstandings are so common that there is a term for them, namely mondegreens. This term was coined by a writer named Sylvia Wright, who realized that as a child, she had misunderstood a line from a Scottish ballad. It goes, "They have slain the Earl of Moray and laid him on the green." She heard it as, "They have slain the Earl of Moray and Lady Mondegreen." In her childish imagination, there were 2 corpses laid out on the green, not just the poor Earl. Children, of course, are especially prone to mondegreens because they lack the vocabulary and the knowledge base to properly interpret all the sounds that they hear. Every Christmas, we have a fresh new crop of kindergartners who wonder why, on this silent and holy night, we want to sleep in heavenly peas. Yucky enough to eat, why would we want to sleep in them? Well, even adults mishear song lyrics. My loopiest mondegreen was with the Elton John song, Philadelphia Freedom. I heard it as, "Billy, don't be a Frito." Utter nonsense. Obviously, I had it wrong. But every time that song came on the radio, I'd crank up the volume and prick up my ears, and the best I could make out was, "Billy, don't be a Frito." Songs are the quintessential time that are susceptible to mondegreens. First, we have to distinguish the lyric from the music. And unless you're watching a video or have the front row seat at a concert, you don't have the singer's facial expression and lip movements to cue you in. And then, even if you can tell when and what they're singing, a typical word might get stretched, have its syllables stretched out over many, many beats, unnaturally so. And even if you do hear the sound correctly, there's the problem of homonyms. So many words in the English language sound the same, but mean something different. Take the phoneme row. A boater might first think of sculling. A sushi chef might first think of fish eggs. A mathematician might think of a matrix. 3 very different meanings for the same sound, row. And thus we depend on context to give us our meaning. But song lyrics are poetry, which uses unusual combinations and associations and evocations. If we just follow logic, it might take us down the wrong path. Case in point, there's a famous line in the Jimi Hendrix song, Purple Haze. Now, officially, the line goes, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." People heard it as, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy," because it's much more normal to kiss another person, even if that person is another man. Now, I've seen a clip of Jimmy where he is very clearly enunciating, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy." Was he using that performance to riff on the fact that his audience so often understood his Sky lyric? Or had he written a deliberate mondegreen? Think about the 1960s. References to taboo topics, such as illegal drugs, were thinly veiled. You had Donovan's Mellow Yellow, the Beatles with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Maybe Jimmy deliberately strung together some innocuous words to deliberately conjure up the image, a homoerotic image. Because there are songs that use deliberate mondegreens. Maresy dotes and dozy dotes and little lambsy divey. That's a whole song full of mondegreens. If the words sound queer and funny to your ear, a little bit jumbled and jivey, sing mares eat oats and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy. Maresy dotes and dozy dotes and little lambsy divey, a kiddly divey too, wooden shoe. Well, these days, when so many of us are dictating our text messages to Siri, it's important to enunciate, lest our message wind up as something silly or even downright offensive. And even if we do enunciate, it's important to proofread because, remember those homonyms? Now, I've got to say, I am impressed with the ability of the current generation of speech recognition software. I can remember back in 1998 when my wrists had such bad tendonitis I couldn't type. And so I obtained top of the line speech recognition software. It was Dragon Systems 3rd edition. And I spent 2 days training it to recognize my personal intonation patterns and pronunciation. And after all this training, it could not recognize a phrase as common as dear sir or madam. So I am very impressed with my smartphone's ability to render my speech, even if it does come up with a few wild mondegreens. Toastmasters, if you want to be understood, whether by Siri or by a live audience, it's important to enunciate clearly and pronounce correctly, as if Professor Henry Higgins were standing over you. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Of course, if you don't really care if you're misunderstood, you can go ahead and be jumbled and jivey. Mr. Toastmaster.